Cold and winter weather chances are the big topic in this morning's video, and we got a storm system right out ahead of us that we need to figure out that's going to bring some winter weather chances a little bit further to the south compared to the last few winter storms we've been talking about. So we'll speak on the southern plains first, and then we'll speak on the upper southeast, the mid-Atlantic, the northeast second. There'll be timestamps separating everything, and we'll move past that time frame after that. We'll get deeper into next week, into the month of December. We'll discuss the pattern. We'll geek out with you guys, have a lot of fun doing it because you folks know I love speaking on winter weather. So my name is Mitch. Good Wednesday morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please drop it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So our winter storm we've been talking about over the last couple days is now leaving the picture, affecting areas of Atlantic Canada. We do got some snow across areas of the Great Lakes region, sort of a clipper with some lake-enhanced stuff with a lot of cold air following behind it, record-breaking cold air. And we'll talk a little bit on that as we get towards the end of the video. A little bit of energy showing up over the middle of the country, but I'm not sure if this is really hitting the ground. Let me know if you're in Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, Iowa, and if this is actually hitting the ground or not, as whatever it may be, maybe some light rain, some snow. We do have a little bit of snow across South Dakota, and this is definitely hitting the ground in Colorado. And this is part of our system on the way. A little bit of energy digging down here also into like Arizona. And I do think some moisture will begin to enter the picture over the next 24 hours, in areas of like Southeast Texas, Louisiana, as this taps into some Gulf moisture. And we have a soaker on the way once again for areas of the deep south states. Much needed rain, but this is current conditions, watches, warnings, and advisories. We do have these winter weather advisories across areas of Colorado, northern sections of New Mexico. We got winter storm warnings up in the pink, and just taking a closer look at this. Now we do have some special weather statements up across areas of the Panhandle of Oklahoma, Texas. This is for, and it mentions a little bit of snow on the way over the next 24 hours. So we'll go over that here in a second. And I do want to mention this also, and we'll speak on this as we go. We got some special weather statements across areas of, heck, even northern, well, it looks like that is, yeah. Well, mainly Ohio, areas of West Virginia, PA, and yeah, areas of Kentucky also. We could get some light snow in some of these areas as we move over the next 24 hours or so. But let's go over the latest HRRR model and just the evolution of this first storm system across the southern and central plains over the next 48 hours or so. So we're going to start this off with around late morning. The time stamp is up here, but this is in Eastern time. So if you're in Central time, back this up an hour. But we continue to move forward, and the snow will begin. We'll really continue to fall across areas of Colorado, northern areas of New Mexico. And as we start to move into later this evening, around dinner time, you see some moisture bubbling up down here in Texas, Louisiana. Snow starting to fly around, maybe in the far northwest corners of Oklahoma, Texas, the Panhandle. A little bit of light snow showing up in western areas of Kansas. And then we continue to move this forward, and we start to get into tomorrow morning, and it does show a little bit of snow. In fact, the HRRR model is pretty aggressive with a band of heavy snow sort of between Wichita Falls and Oklahoma City. Shows some snow in Amarillo, a soaker developing down here in Louisiana, Mississippi. Even shows a touch of winter weather north of Huntsville, between Nashville and Huntsville, Alabama. We'll see if that happens. And that would be a little early if it does. And then we continue this all the way through about midday tomorrow. Shows a wintry mix. The purple, sort of a sleet. The blue is snow. So shows a little bit of winter weather here in the southern half of Oklahoma. And we go to the end of this run. Well, we take it to about Thursday night, tomorrow night. I could see a wintry mix developing across central areas of Arkansas. And as we continue to move this forward and get all the way to the end of the run, you can see this moisture beginning to tap into a little bit more cold air as we start to get into Tennessee. So you start to see some purple, a little bit of a sleet rain mix, maybe a little bit of snow in Nashville. We'll have to see how this develops. And we only got all the way out to about midnight tomorrow night. So we can switch this and look at the NAM. What does this show? Same thing, snowstorm ongoing across areas of Colorado. We have the winter storm warnings up. And as we continue to move forward, we take this into late tonight, heavy snow developing across northern sections and favored areas, higher elevated regions of New Mexico. And then some snow starts to fly around. It's even showing pretty heavy later tonight. This is 1, 2 o'clock in the morning in the panhandle of Oklahoma, Texas. And as we continue to progress this forward, and we're getting into tomorrow morning, some snow will likely be flying around across Amarillo, maybe as far south as Lubbock, like Guyman, Oklahoma, maybe the Woodard area of Oklahoma, and a little bit of snow starting to move into Oklahoma City as we're moving into late tomorrow night. I'm sorry, this is tomorrow afternoon. And we continue to move forward. When we get into tomorrow evening, I could see a wintry mix happening between Oklahoma City, Tulsa. So it's a little bit different on the NAM, but for the most part, it's about the same. And as we start to move into late tomorrow night, so this is like midnight, Thursday night into Friday, and we start to get to about 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning, you can see a touch of winter weather developing across the boot of Missouri, starting to move into western areas of Kentucky. So we continue to go all the way through this run, and it does show snow breaking out across these areas, but we'll mention that here shortly. Let's focus on the southern plains. But Colorado, they bumped up the snowfall forecast for these areas. Denver going for 5 inches, Castle Rock 6, but it's already snowing in these areas now. Let me know if you're tuning in from this region. Definitely a decent snowstorm has unfolded, and they've actually increased the snowfall totals, which I had a feeling they would. But areas of New Mexico, higher elevated regions will get there. Santa Fe going for around 1 inch, even calling for 6/10 of an inch of snow in like Clovis. And then we bump it up into Kansas. I could see a little bit of snow flying around here in Garden City, Dodge City, Liberal, maybe as far north as Colby. So even though they're not forecasting any snowfall accumulations on the latest National Weather Service forecast, I could see a little bit occurring. And I could see someone sneaking around and getting an inch or so of snow in areas of the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma. And even though they're not forecasting any snow here in southern areas of Oklahoma, if anything like what the HRRR model unfolds, we're going to get a little light accumulations, I think. And I want to watch out from Elk City, Lawton, maybe south of Oklahoma City. I think someone could sneak around and get some light accumulations right in this region. And if you look at the latest HRRR model, it does show like a band of a couple of inches. Now, I think this is overdone, but it even shows a touch of snow into the state of Arkansas. So we'll continue to watch this. We'll have another update on this tonight. But moving forward, let's go over the latest from the Euro. And let's update this. I think we do have we do. Yeah, awesome. We have fresh information from the European model, the morning run. So we'll start this off tomorrow evening. And you can see the rain bubbling up down here, a lot of moisture for the deep south and the Gulf states. And then as we move forward, we take it until about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. If you lose me on the time frame, I know it's pretty small, especially if you're watching on the phone. Look right here. If you're in Eastern time, this is right. If you're in Central time, back it up an hour. So 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning, you can see the snow starting to move in to areas of the eastern U.S., and then it looks to be heavy across areas of southwest Virginia, southern West Virginia. Look at the band of snow in Kentucky, and we'll take a closer look at this here in a second. Just want to take a broad look at everything. It's all rain down in Charlotte, and I mean, it's a nasty rain-ice mix in like Asheville, and it just looks like because of the position of this high pressure and where the cold air is at the surface, it looks like it's better if you get away from the mountains, if you get further north into the east. So it's really not, it's somewhat of an elevation driven thing, but it's mainly where the cold air source is, honestly. But shows some winter weather breaking out across northern areas of North Carolina. And this is around 10 o'clock in the morning, and we keep this going, and it actually gets a band of heavy snow. I would say moderate to heavy snow into the DC, Baltimore area. And this tries to get all the way up to New York City Friday night. We got this thin area of freezing rain still ongoing across Virginia and northern North Carolina. And this has ticked a little bit further to the north and west, bringing more precipitation a little bit further north. So, early morning hours, a little bit of snow in southern New England, and then this heads on out. Okay, GFS, what does it show? Here it comes. It's starting to become more aggressive now. So it shows kind of this finger of snow breaking out across areas, the Triad, foothills of North Carolina, southwest Virginia. And we continue to move this forward. And Friday morning, we're waking up to just moderate to heavy snow across Winston-Salem, Hickory. Heck, it even shows in Raleigh. Now, I think the GFS is just a little off here with the snow. But we continue to move forward. But I could see this trending colder. That's the thing is, it's a glacier to the north. It really is. So cold air could actually be better than what's being modeled. Well, we get into mid-morning Friday, and it's snowing in Raleigh. It's snowing in Danville, Roanoke. Snow's starting to move in, but it's just not as further north with the precipitation. So, there isn't a whole lot that gets up to D.C. or New York City or anything like that. But, I mean, check it out. This is 10 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning. Look how heavy this snow looks. I mean, this kind of darker shade of blue, I mean, that's moderate to heavy snow. And just taking a closer look at North Carolina, let's switch this and look at the 06Z. Here it comes. Just a closer look at everybody. And I mean, you kind of got to know where you are on your map. I don't like looking at Pivotal Weather. The colors just aren't as vibrant. But Pivotal Weather does a great job of showing towns and city names on the map. But Charlotte, this is just a cold rain, unfortunately. But I could see it starting off as a wintry mix. Really could. But you can head up into maybe Statesville, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, even Raleigh. It shows a little bit of snow. And then you see the dark blue. I mean, so DC up here, it's snowing at a moderate pace here. And then maybe the snow kind of goes into a wintry mix. You see the pink, that's freezing rain. So it could be a burst of snow and then a period of freezing rain after. It's easy to say this isn't going to be a big event, but for North Carolina standards, even Virginia standards, this could be a mess. And just to kind of ride up the coastline here into the mid-Atlantic and take a closer look at everybody, shows a band of moderate snow getting all the way into the DC corridor. The Tidewater, the Delmarva, shows some snow getting into Delaware, some snow back there in West Virginia, snow trying to climb up into New Jersey. And you see the pink showing up around Richmond. It's freezing rain, and we continue and gets a band of snow all the way into Philadelphia as we're getting into Friday afternoon and evening. Snow starting to get into the DC area, a little bit of snow, the New York City area, Long Island, some snow trying to get into Rhode Island and Connecticut, and then it heads on out. So it's an interesting storm for sure. And listen, what's wild to me, and let's update this, see if we have any new information that we don't. They're already being pretty aggressive with this. So this isn't just some fluke model runs, guys. You see this area right here, this is the National Weather Service forecast. So they're already going for, say, in Winston-Salem and Greensboro, a few tenths of an inch of snow. And I know you're probably thinking, well, that's not a lot at all, Mitch. Well, it's not, but that's enough to make everything a little white. And I mean, it's very festive. I mean, it's early December. It's hard enough to get this in the heart of winter in North Carolina. They're already going for an inch and a half of snow around the Boone area, showing some a touch of snow maybe down here in Asheville. But you see the whole entire southern southwest corridor of Virginia going for anywhere from a half an inch to an inch of snow. And this goes all the way out to Friday morning. They're a little bit more conservative up here in the DC area, going for about 3/10 of an inch of snow. And I will show you more areas of the mid-Atlantic with this. I mean, they're going for about a half an inch to a few tenths of an inch of snow already. I know this ain't a lot, but this could uptrend. This is pretty aggressive right out the gate for the National Weather Service. So already going for a touch of snow in these areas from the actual National Weather Service, from the experts, actual humans is what I'm trying to say. But the Euro ensemble from overnight, I don't want to ignore my folks here in the Buda, Missouri and Kentucky and Tennessee. Hey, it wants to say there could be about, and remember, this is a blend of 51 members. Okay, so some members show absolutely nothing. Some might show 1 to 2 inches of snow for any given area on this screen. But Nashville, about a half inch mean here. Cookeville, 3/10 of an inch. Johnson City, half an inch to maybe an inch. We got to watch this area, the area of the Tri-Cities region of Tennessee here. It could be tricky. But you get into central eastern Kentucky. Once you get into this blue area, that's where over an inch of snow could happen. So we got to watch, especially when we get deeper into Kentucky. And then we start to move into North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia. Hickory going for 8/10 of an inch of snow. Not a forecast, just a smooth out ensemble run. I think right now they're calling for a few tenths of an inch of snow in Hickory. Greensboro, close to an inch. Danville, 1.5 inches. Richmond, 1 inch to 2 inches of snow. Charlottesville, 1 inch, 1.5 inches. Roanoke, 1.5 inches of snow. DC, 1.5 inches of snow. So, I mean, not a huge event, but a very festive event. And if you switch to ice in these areas, it could definitely bring more action. In fact, let's look at ice in these areas, because I forgot I did not have the, let's see if we can do this. Let's go. We can just do this. So this is a chance to see 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain off this event too. And you see this pocket between Greensboro and Raleigh? The color, that's where you have about a 50% chance to see 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain. So say in like Greensboro, you get a half an inch of snow and then a tenth of an inch of freezing rain. That's a moderate event for southern standards. I mean, that can create a mess on the roadways. And I do think there's certain areas that won't get above freezing in kind of southwest Virginia, areas of northwest North Carolina. But, you're up to, a 33% chance in Richmond, Danville, 30 to 40% chance to see a tenth of an inch of freezing rain in all this too. Even a chance in Charlotte. So you head on up the road and, the DC corridor, the Delmarva, Tidewater. Hey, 1 to 2 inches of snow is the common theme around here. So we got to watch this. It's definitely colder up here, colder for snow. Dover, 1.5 inches, DC, Baltimore. So, Wilmington. And nothing crazy. Now you see this right here. This is for, what happened with this storm. So it always taps into the storm previously if it's close. But the ensemble brings about a half an inch to an inch of snow all the way up into southern sections of New England. Going for just shy of an inch in New York City. That'll be enough to make everything look nice and festive, right? If this is the way it happens Friday night and a Saturday. So we'll continue to watch it. And what's driving this system is basically a moving cold air source, and the timing is good. So let's draw on this a little bit. You see this 1030 high. Okay, this is kind of moving in and then moving out. But as it moves in place, it funnels in some cold, dry air at the surface. At the same time, you see this area in blue? That is our low pressure moving some moist air on top of that dry, cold air. Okay? So they kind of meet, and the moisture overrides that cold air, and we get an overrunning event, what we call cold air damming. Now, this high pressure isn't really locked in place. So if you keep this moving, the high pressure leaves, and that cold high is being locked in place by a cold air source over eastern Canada and the Northeast, which is that same cold air source is going to bring record-breaking cold air across areas of the Midwest and the Northeast over the next couple of days, around off our work week. So it's kind of a fleeting cold air source, but it times up well for a little bit of moisture to the south. Okay? So moving past this, there's also another time frame I'm watching towards the end of the weekend. So this is getting into Sunday morning. Some snow already breaking out on the GFS, which is aggressive, across Missouri, southern areas of Illinois. Someone said I'd hardly ever mentioned southern Illinois, so there it is. I gave you some love there. We got some snow breaking out on the GFS. This is not a forecast because the Euro does not agree. This is just a lot of rain. I think it's just going to be a soggy weekend across the southeast this weekend. So as we're starting to move into Sunday night, show some snow breaking out across northern Kentucky, West Virginia again. It just seems like I keep mentioning these states. A little bit of snow trying to show up again back in Missouri, northern Arkansas. And then energy dives in, cold air collapses over this moisture, and we're getting into Monday morning, and this wanted to show an all-out snowstorm, not as aggressive as the overnight run, by the way, of the GFS, which was bonkers. And it wants to show snow breaking out across North Carolina, heck, even across areas of northern South Carolina, and then it heads on out. I don't believe that. I'm not trying to be a buzzkill. You guys know I love winter weather, but I like to keep it real. If you look at the latest Euro, okay, we start to get into Sunday morning, a little bit of moisture hanging around, not enough cold air in place though. Okay. And then we look at that next time frame. The Euro does show energy here. You can see energy right here in the form of snow across the Midwest. There is some energy across the mountains and just enough cold air for the higher elevation to see some snow, lower elevation rain. And we got a big area of low pressure off the coast of the southeast. But nothing is combining like what the GFS is showing. The GFS tends to just go a little bit too crazy with energy that drops down to the northern Rockies. Now, could it trend to something like what the GFS is showing? Absolutely. There's energy in place. And there's enough energy in the atmosphere to be squeezed out in the mountains in the form of higher elevation snow. I think it's just going to be a wintry weekend up here. But we move past this, and we only can go 144 hours out on the Euro. So, of course, the GFS ensemble is going to follow its operational run. This is for the system that we just broke down in the beginning of the video for this Friday and the Saturday. You can see that disappear. This is in 24-hour periods. And you can see how the GFS sniffs out that next storm system right here with a touch, kind of a footprint of snow showing up here, and it dives down to North Carolina. One thing, like I said, the ensemble from the GFS always follows this operational run. So if you get some crazy model run on the GFS, typically it's going to be backed up by its ensemble run. That doesn't make it correct because we know we like to look at ensembles, but It's just kind of what it always does. So there is a signal off the GFS ensemble showing it. I just don't buy it. Not trying to be a Debbie Downer. You guys know that. Now, does the Euro ensemble back it up at all? You know, this is the one for Friday and a Saturday, right? Pretty nice signal. And then we move past that. You can see as we're getting into Monday morning, Monday night, there is a touch of snow showing up, dipping south, but it's kind of blended in with a lot of other stuff. It definitely shows to the mountains, but you know, in general, I don't see anything really backing that up. So yes, I see the crazy GFS run for North Carolina, especially the one last night. It literally dropped a foot of snow over North Carolina, but I'm just not buying it. That doesn't mean it can't happen, but I'm not buying it. So what about what's after all of that? So we get deeper into next week, like around this time next week. What else are we seeing? Well, we started off next Monday evening. You can already see the general theme is an active northern stream. The question is, does it tap into any kind of southern stream energy? So what you're going to see as I move this forward, you're going to see a lot of areas of blue and green up here. So let's keep going. We get into next Wednesday. You can see a clipper moving through the Great Lakes region. But at the very end of the run, you see that 540 line right there diving deep. This is an operational run, by the way. An entire lobe of Arctic air gets thrown down into the central and eastern U.S. And, of course, this could do some wild things. It shows snow popping off across areas of the mountains, shows a lot of northwest flow action coming down with this trough across the Ohio Valley. This is next Thursday evening. And if something like that was to happen, it would bring a shot of Arctic air and more northern stream energy with it. So, but we're not seeing any kind of huge storm system. It's kind of a pattern where the rich get richer, but that could change. And the GFS shows a big trough dropping down late next week also now. And I think this is an adjustment to what we are seeing with the MJO progression. That's why I think model guidance will continue to trend colder. And same thing, there's a northern stream piece of energy here, aggressive looking clipper on the GFS across the Great Lakes region. Here comes another one as we're getting around this time next week. That's a 987 clipper. Ooh, that's going to bring some heavy snow, whoever is getting it. And then, you know, a shot of cold air follows. You see some snow across areas of the Appalachian Mountains, and then you see this area of snow dropping down. This is interesting. Okay, trough is dropping in. All right, snow, moderate snow breaking out across the plains. Come on, you can do it for my mountain trip. I'm going to the mountains next weekend, and I'm really hoping for something crazy to show up in the Gatlinburg, North Carolina, Tennessee mountain area. But this is getting into Friday morning, and it does show a big trough dropping down, some snow across the central Apps, and then that cold air kind of oozes down to the south. And, I mean, it pretty much shows what the Euro is showing, a big trough dropping down. Anytime you see that first blue line, that's the 540 line drop this far south, you know we got a shot of cold air on the way. So, you know, this is backed up by the Euro ensemble. You know, this big blob of kind of bluish, greenish yellow, that is our energy we are watching for early next week, even though the Euro ensemble does not do much with it like the GFS does. After that, the pattern favors a lot of, let's make sure we're right, a lot of stuff up here. Will it tap into anything down here? Kind of the southern, this is the northern energy. Okay, it's an active northern stream pattern. We're going to get clippers galore coming down, regardless if it taps into anything down here. One thing I'm seeing on the latest Euro ensemble is this area, as we're getting about a week from today, diving down a little bit deeper compared to the information I showed you in just last night's video. You see how the energy is diving down all the way just further south in the eastern U.S.? That's an interesting trend. That, you know, you can tap into some of that southern stream energy if that happens, but this still looks to be a northern stream dominated pattern, but that doesn't mean you can't get any decent snow events a little bit further to the south. Not talking about, Birmingham or Atlanta, Birmingham, Alabama, Atlanta, Georgia, or anything like that, but we just got to watch this. There's a little bit of a trend for this energy digging more because we're having more of a trend of a trough digging more. And you can see it here. You know, the blue is that trough. Energy is always associated with this. This is lower pressure. The warmer colors, the yellows, the oranges, this is higher pressure. This is a ridge flexing across the western U.S. So this is starting off this coming Monday morning, the 8th, and you can see a trough anchored over the eastern U.S. This is bringing reinforcing shots of cold air, energy associated with it. And then the trough kind of asserts itself, if you will, continues to dig down here. So energy will continue to come down the pipeline and round the base of this trough. Now you see this area right here in white embedded in the blue around it. If you really want this energy to dig, tap into something more substantial as far as winter weather, you got the cold air in place. You need this area to kind of dig down into here. Okay, and you need this ridge to spike in order for that to do it. So you need this to kind of spike taller up here so this trough can dig more so right into here. Something can fly through. But regardless, this trough does bring energy. It's just northern stream dominated. Clippers, northwest flow events, that can change. I want to keep saying that. But this trough continues to hang with us. It does show a ridge at the end, but I don't 100% buy it. And in fact, we have continued. Let's do the run-to-run shifts here. And let's go to the OOZ. If you look at this here, we're getting to next week. You see how the blue appears? That is a trend towards lower pressure, more troughing, colder air. And we're already trending towards that. Once again, the model guidance is adjusting to more troughing over the central and eastern U.S. So what is it doing? It's backing up that ridge more and more in time. And I think there's a chance it doesn't even happen. In the GFS, it shows the same thing, same looking pattern. I don't know if we're going to be able to go out as far on the 06Z. Shows this trough over the eastern U.S. There's the signal for that trough strengthening as we are getting towards the end of next week. How far does this dig south? Either way, that is going to be a shot of cold air across the eastern U.S. And, it does show the ridge at the end. I just don't know if I buy it. So, regardless, I've already showed you that. Regardless as far as temperatures, this is going to continue to bring reinforcing shots of cold air. It's just the winter weather we figure out, right? And that's always the thing. Do you got the cold air in place, then you figure out the moisture. Temperatures are normally the first thing to figure out. But we get into next week, the blues, the greens, then you get into this kind of purplish, almost Barney color right here. That's like 20, 25, 30 degrees below average. We'll continue to deal with shots of cold air. We get into next Wednesday, and you might get a modification of temperatures into next Wednesday or Thursday, and then another shot of cold air comes in next weekend. It just stays cold almost through the entirety of the run. Does show a ridge flex trying at the end. I just don't know if I buy it. And I'll tell you why I don't buy it. I don't want to just say that and not give you an explanation on why I don't buy it. But if you look at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, guys, this is through the 8th through the 12th of December, going towards below average temperatures in the east, above average temperatures in the west. And we go to the 8 to 14 day outlook, 10th through the 16th, still says the same for the eastern U.S. And it does have some above average temperatures slipping into the southern tier of the country. But listen, the reason I don't buy this ridge that keeps showing up at the end of the runs and why I think we're going to continue to see cold air adjustments is yours truly right here. Let's see if we have a new update. Let's update the browser here. Always want to try to get you guys fresh information. Sometimes I catch the new update, sometimes I don't. I think it's a little bit too early anyways. As I just want to look at this, okay? And this goes all the way out to the 16th. This is the MJO forecast, and let's explain this again. And if you look, this is the MJO chart, forcing things like that. The 6th through the 5th and 4th. No, that's not what that is. This is, sorry guys. This is phase 6, phase 5, phase 4. These are warm phases. So if we're in these phases, most of the lower 48 is going to deal with warm air. Doesn't mean you can't get shots of cold air. Doesn't mean you can't get winter weather in the winter. In fact, we did in November when we were in phase 5 and 6. Now, phase 8, phase 1, and phase 2, these are the colder phases. Phase 3, phase 7 are transitional phases, I like to call it. Okay, where are we and where are we heading? Well, what is it? December the 3rd. The 2nd was yesterday. The 3rd is today. The 4th is tomorrow. So technically, we're kind of right here. So we're probably in phase 8 right now. And it might be the first full day or two that we're in phase 8. Phase 8, the one I just circled, is the glory phase for winter weather and cold weather fans, if you like that, in the central and eastern U.S. So we are getting into that phase. And listen, this was the hard part. I remember it seemed like it was just yesterday we were talking about it and we were way over here. And we were saying, hey, we need to get into phase 8. And a lot of times these charts pull the rug out from under us and we end up trending towards unfavorable phases. But no, we have made it. And it shows us just sort of hanging out in phase 8 for the next couple weeks. This gives the atmosphere time to respond. Now there's a chance we get into the circle of death right here, which is a kind of a low amped version of whatever phase we are in, which means we have low impact. We have a low response, not much of a response depending on the phase you are in, as far as what happens with the weather. So if we're in kind of phase 6 and we're like right here, you might not get the full impacts of what phase 6 normally brings. It's the same thing with phase 8, but it shows us kind of in a slightly low amp phase of phase 8. And listen, if we kind of drift into phase 1 and 2, these are favorable phases also. So I really think model guidance is struggling to adjust to the fact that we are getting fully into a very favorable MJO pulse and phase. Now, listen, I don't pretend to be an extreme expert on this. I know enough about it to know that this is a great tool to try to figure out and forecast long-range patterns, but it has a lot to do with thunderstorms out in the Pacific, things like that. Maybe I can actually put a link of the explanations of MJO. And listen, when I do these weather videos, I go with what I'm the most comfortable talking on. And, there was a time, say 3 or 4 years ago, where I wasn't comfortable talking about a trough or a ridge, things like that, and what it means to the surface. I got comfortable with that. So this is something that I'm going to gradually learn more and more. I just kind of know what phases we need to be in to increase chances for cold and winter weather. But this gets into the nerdy stuff, guys. It really does. So, but as far as today's weather, the southeast looks pretty quiet, guys. It's going to be cold. Our cooler start to December continues. A lot of moisture bubbling up here in the south. In fact, we could wake up to some thunderstorms along the Louisiana southeast coastline. The northeast, a quiet but very cold day. And then we're actually going to get some snow moving in later tonight across New England. And it's going to bring a touch of snowfall accumulation. And I think tomorrow could be a very festive day across the northeast with just some light snow drifting around. We've already pretty much spoke on the south central U.S., but waking up to some snow flying around the Great Lakes region. Lake effect snow will get ongoing again across the UP of Michigan, lower Michigan. And I think we will get a band of light snow that breaks out. I mean, it could even happen here in Missouri, even though it's not showing up on this run, but it's probably going to be ongoing from Missouri, areas of Illinois, definitely Indiana, Ohio. You can see it down here at the bottom of your screen. A little bit of snow. And then when we wake up tomorrow morning, you can see some snow down here in southern areas of Ohio, getting into northern areas of West Virginia, northern Kentucky. And I think this is likely. And in fact, they actually mentioned some light snowfall accumulations. 8/10 of an inch of Indianapolis, and a touch of snow in Cincinnati, Dayton. Hey, snow. More snow. You're padding the stats in these areas. Like I said, I said this yesterday. I said it this morning on a Twitter post. It's just a good old-fashioned winter, guys. It really does. It seems like it's a good old-fashioned winter in some of these areas. And, head up into lower Michigan. This is what they're calling for over the next 48 hours. I mean, more snow on the way. And, this is the UP of Michigan. More snow on the way. And I do want to mention these brutal low temperatures for tomorrow morning. This is record-breaking for certain areas, going for 16 below zero in areas of Iowa. This is not some model run. This is the actual forecast low temperature from the National Weather Service. This is just brutal. I mean, it's early December. It's not the heart of January. Look at these low temperatures forecast for tomorrow morning across areas of the upper Midwest. And then this is Friday morning. Not any better. Going to be in a pocket of sub-zero temperatures across the northern half of Illinois. And single digits elsewhere. It's just really going off snowpack, really. Deep snowpack. We got a lot of it here. So, conditions out west, we spoke on the snow flying around across the Rockies and dipping down to the southern plains. We already spoke on all this. Go to the beginning of the video if you missed it. Another system moving into the Pacific Northwest. These are temperatures. A chilly, cold day across the southeast. Cold across the eastern U.S. Only area you're not cold is central and southern Florida. Deep, Arctic air moving into the northern sections of the country, and then this is out west. So that's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you tonight.